Welcome to the TicketCity podcast, and the first of many. And we're starting off the show with a topic that I think everybody's going to be excited about, and that is for a little preview of the AFC. My name is JP, and I've been at TicketCity for 3 years, and I know a lot about the industry. But compared to the gentleman that's with me today, you know, he's a veteran, as you would say, of the NFL. And here's Lou.
Hey, James, thanks for that very uplifting introduction. And I never played in the NFL, but have been involved with the NFL for the last 25 years. Been to, I think, 10 Super Bowls in my life, a lot of games, and I'm really looking forward to the football season just around the corner. Hope you're doing well over there with your family. And
before we begin, you said you went to 10 Super Bowls. Now, are you one of those guys that goes in and steals paraphernalia like jerseys and helmets and stuff like that too?
I've never made it to where I could actually take anything. And, I'm pretty much on my best behavior at the Super Bowl because it just feels like,
Yeah, at least that's what you tell people, right? You don't want people to know.
Yeah. You're like not even sitting in your own seat, so you're trying to behave.
Well, at least remember, keep me in the will, Lou, later on in life. Yeah.
All right, you got it.
But you're right, yeah. AFC. So let's start with the AFC East. Who do you think is going to win the AFC East this year?
Well, I've got this, and I think you're going to love this pick. I'm just going to stay with the New England Patriots. I just think their coaching and with the latest addition of Cam Newton, I just don't think the other teams are quite up to their level. I know the attractive, sexy pick is the Bills this year, but I'm going to stay with the Patriots, slugging it out, finishing with a 10-6 record, with the Bills right behind them at 9-7. And the Jets and Dolphins sharing the basement at 6-10. I know the Jets still have a few starters from last year that haven't signed, and the Dolphins, they have a rookie quarterback, and then the bearded one. I just don't see them making enough improvements on wide receiver.
Yeah, and I tend to agree with you a little bit on this. To give you a little hindsight, that's what Lou said that I really like. This was the fact that I am from Massachusetts, and they've been my team, and we haven't really done much in the last 20 years. So I'm glad we're finally turning it around by getting a quarterback like Cam Newton. Right? It's not like we never had a quarterback before in the past, but. But I'm actually going to disagree with you on this. I think that the Bills are actually going to be on top. It's going to be a dogfight in the AFC East. I agree with you. I think the Jets will be at the bottom. I think they'll be 5-11. I think the Dolphins will actually be the better team, like the third team in the AFC with a 6-10 record. And I do think the Patriots will lose a lot of close games. I think they'll be in a lot of games, especially with Cam Newton now. But I think they're going to go 9-7. I think they'll squeak in and get a wild card spot. And I do see the Buffalo Bills getting the AFC East this year. I think that Allen has definitely got a lot of talent around him now, and there's just no excuse, especially after what happened in that playoff game against the Texans. They should have won that game, in my opinion. But it is what it is, and I do see them winning the AFC East. That being said, my disclaimer here, if anybody was to figure this out, it would be Bill. So I would not be surprised if they won that division, and I hope they prove me wrong.
Wow. Well, so are you, you picked the Patriots to come in second at 9-7. Were the Bills 10-6, 11-5? How good do you think they're going to be?
I'm going to go with 11-5, but again, I think they're going to lose a lot of close games, but I do see them. I don't think that they'll host the playoff game, but I don't see them getting a first and second round bye this year. I think they'll.
Wow!
Yeah.
Wow! I would have never thought it.
I know, right?
James going against the Patriots. Whoa! All
Hey,
right. Well, I can't wait till we get to the NFC in our next podcast. But
oh yeah, no,
today, staying with the AFC North, I'll let you go first with this one and run down your list, and then I'll see how close we are. I bet we're pretty similar.
yeah. I mean, with the North, I got to go. The Ravens are either going to be 13-3 or 14-2. I don't see much change in that division. I think with the surprise second place, I think it's going to be the Cleveland Browns. I think that they're actually going to be 10-6.
Oh, amazing.
I know,
Exactly
right?
what I thought.
Oh, well, I do think there's going to be a lot of changes in that organization. Um, and this is where I think it comes into play with this. The Pittsburgh Steelers, I'm going to go ahead and say it. I think they're going to be in last place this year. I think that I think the Bengals are going to have a better record. I think having Joe Burrow as your quarterback, I don't see the Bengals making the playoffs, but I do see them going over the hump of the Steelers and the rest of the team in the division, aside from uh, Baltimore, who I think is going to run over a lot of people. Oh, until they get to the playoffs. Well, we'll talk about that for another show. But I do think that I still think the Bengals will go probably 8-8, and I think the Steelers are probably going to go 5-11 too as well. They'll be in games, but I just don't see them winning a lot of games this year. And I do think this will be Mike Tomlin's last year in Pittsburgh. So.
Wow, I like it, the man. I like you going out on a limb in our very first podcast ever, making a statement about the coach of the Steelers, Super Bowl champion.
I mean, he is. Don't get me wrong; he's a great coach. I just think that his time in Pittsburgh is going to come to an end this year.
Wow. All right. Well, I pretty much agree with you on the Ravens taking the division. However, I have them winning 11 games, and in fact, kind of a theme this year of my picks. I don't have a lot of just runaway teams at 14-2, 13-3. And I don't have a lot of teams at just 2-14, 3-13. So they're all kind of bunched up. So I have the Ravens winning 11 games and winning the AFC North. I do like the Browns. I think they made some interesting moves, and the coach, especially. I think they have a better chance this year of actually making it into the playoffs. So I have them finishing as well at 10-6. And I'm kind of rooting for Baker Mayfield. I just think he's good for the league. He's good for the fans. Either love him or hate him. And he's just fun to watch. The Steelers, we got Roethlisberger coming back. I have them at 8-8. And the Bengals, I definitely think are a sleeper. They have so many great weapons on offense, A.J. Green, Higgins. But with Burrow, coming in as just the rookie starter, I got them winning 7 games. I just think the game's so fast. I'm not sure he can keep up with it, although he seemed to do well at LSU. So we're pretty close, on the AFC North. That's going to be a wild card.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens with Joe Burrow. I don't know. Like, I do think that he has the potential to be a good quarterback, but it's really based on, what teams he goes to. Because look at the 2 quarterbacks that have had success with Lamar Jackson and I can't think of the guy's name in Kansas City now. That really kills
me. Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, I should know that. Yeah. I'm an idiot. Sorry. Mahomes, he ended up with Andy Reid, and that's what was a match made in heaven. So, there's with the head coach in Cincinnati hasn't proven himself yet. So, it could be we don't know. I just don't foresee it happening because in this NFL, you have to have a veteran coach, and I wish him the best. I like the guy in college. He did a lot of great things at LSU. Had one of the best seasons in college football, and we'll just have to wait and see what happens.
Right. And so speaking of coaching, we got Zach Taylor is the head coach of the Bengals, correct?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we have Burrow coming in under him. we had, the Browns had Kevin Stefanski, right? The offensive coordinator from the Vikings. That's why I like the Browns a little bit more to get those extra couple wins. I think Coach Stefanski and Baker Mayfield will just rise up to another level. And the Bengals are a wild card, but the game is so fast. I just think it's so hard for rookies, especially drop back passers, to really catch on quickly. We'll see how it goes. I wish them the best, and it's just going to be an exciting season to watch the AFC North this year.
Oh, absolutely. I think that potentially it could be the best AFC division until we maybe talk about the South. The South's going to be that one's a huge mess.
So. Oh yeah, the South. I mean, boy, it's hard to watch some of these games. Texans, I'd really like them being down here in Texas, just a couple hundred miles down the road. Mm-hmm. But I just don't know how they could let go of Hopkins at wide receiver. He was actually my favorite player on the team. So this year, I am going out on a limb like you did with the Steelers losing their coach, and I'm predicting the Tennessee Titans win the AFC South with a 10-6 record. Mm-hmm. The Texans limp behind them at 9-7. Not even sure if they're going to make the playoffs. They might get a wild card. And then the Colts 8-8, and then the Jags at 7-9. The Colts, they got Phillip Rivers in the offseason. They got Jacoby Brissett. I just don't know how that is all going to work out. The Texans, like I said, I think they're just above a 500 team the way they play. And the Titans, I'm putting my money on Tannehill, the Aggie.
Oh, yeah.
To take them to 10 wins. What do you think about that AFC South?
I agree with you. The Tennessee Titans are going to run away with this division. I don't see any of these teams, aside from the Titans, actually making the playoffs. Maybe the Houston Texans. But Bill O'Brien, the moves that he's made since he's been a head coach are just head scratchers. I do not understand the Hopkins trade at all. It really does not make any sense. I mean, because they got a running back that is very injury prone. He is good when he's there, but at the same time, that's going to be the big question: is whether or not he's going to be there. What do you think of? I forgot to ask you this. What do you think about Phillip Rivers being in Indy?
That's interesting. I mean, he could be a difference maker if he plays up to his potential. They could win 10 games, and if he plays at his worst, they could win 5 or 6. So that's why I picked him as an 8-8. I just don't know what you expect anymore with Phillip Rivers. I really like his competitiveness. I love watching him on the field, but he somehow does not seem to win those close games.
Oh, no, he doesn't. And his the last playoff game that he played in was, in Foxborough, and, he was awful. So, I mean, like they knew what they were going to do that day. That Patriots defense just destroyed them. And I just don't foresee anything good happening in Indianapolis with him. I thought that was another one where it was like, out of all the quarterbacks available, you went with him. Huh? Okay. Because I think the surrounding people are good, but I just, he's not a guy I would have spent money on. But to answer your question, I think you're right. I think the Tennessee is going to go 10-6. I think they'll be in a lot of close games. Let's face it, the AFC Championship game last year was theirs, and they basically let it slip out of their fingers. Same thing with the Houston Texans. But no, I'm going to have the Houston Texans being at 6-10, and I think they're going to be Jacksonville's going to be in last place. I think they potentially could be like 3-13. I think that the Texans will be like 8, and it could be 8-8. I just don't. And I love Deshaun Watson. And you got to keep in mind too, if Bill O'Brien goes, Deshaun Watson is a free agent at the end of this year. So it kind of makes me wonder, where's he going to go afterwards? Because to me, it seems like the Texans are becoming a sinking ship right now.
Uh-huh.
And this could be, I'll go on a limb here too and say, I've been saying this the last 2 years, but this could be Bill O'Brien's last year in Houston too. So,
wow, I love it. In the first week, you're already putting the coaches on the hot seat.
I know, right?
So, Jacksonville Jaguars, why can't I even name 3 players on the Jag? What is going on with the Jaguars?
I forget what's the QB's name with the mustache. I can't even think of his name right now. I know the head coach is Doug Marrone, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't even know who.
Is that Gardner Minshew?
Yeah, Gardner Minshew. Yeah, that's the guy.
The second. Yes. Yeah.
Dressed up like Uncle Rico from Napoleon Dynamite there. He's in charge. Like, that's another one. The funny thing is there's a lot of rumors going around that they're going to be moved to London. I mean, does anybody really care about the Jacksonville Jaguars? I mean, like, that's going to be,
not really. But you did mention a really good point that they are a favorite of the fans over there in London, because every year they have had a game, maybe the last 4 years in London. Yeah. And I just mentioned that because the NFL has moved any game in London back to the United States this year. So we won't have any London games because of the COVID-19 virus. And I can't believe we made it 3/4 of the way through this very first initial podcast without even bringing up that.
I know, right? That's even, I figured that everybody was aware of it, so we didn't want to bring it up, So.
Or maybe I shouldn't even have brought it up because
it's an interesting thing to, bring up halfway through the show because, again, we work for a ticket company, and, we have a lot of unanswered questions going in this NFL season of how the NFL is going to handle seating. And that's, there's a lot of stuff we can't answer now. And it's, and that's one thing that we hope to bring with this podcast is just, bring a little bit of normalcy back in a world without normalcy. So,
yeah, that's right. And thanks for reminding me there. And let's move to our final division here in the AFC. I'll let you start this one. It's a very exciting division.
I would be very surprised, and I'm going on a limb here, that Kansas City is going to be on top of this. If there's anybody that's going to come a close second, it could be Denver, just because they have a veteran defense. But I do see Kansas City, running the table on this. Potentially them going 14-2, 15-1. I don't see Denver could be there. They could be another 9-7 team. I can see Denver actually making the playoffs this year. I think that they think that they found their quarterback, and towards the end of the season there, he was doing quite well. I think I still have the Chargers on the doormat. It's a shame too, because I think it's one of those places where I think there's a lot of talent there. Because let's face it, this was a team that went into Baltimore 2 years ago, stopped Lamar Jackson, and then went to New England and then laid an egg. And everyone, if you remember that, and you remember that game, Lou, is that everybody was picking the Chargers over New England.
Yeah.
So who knows? I mean, it's just, again, they lost Phillip Rivers. Who is their starter now? They drafted somebody, didn't they? I couldn't even think of the guy's name.
On the Chargers?
Yeah.
Oh boy, that's another stumper. Justin Herbert?
Yeah. So another solid pickup. I couldn't think of his name. Sorry, guys, but we should have done our research there. But yeah, I mean, that kid was good at Oregon, and I think that there's a lot of veteran talent around him. And then you got the Raiders. The only thing that's cool about the Raiders this year is the new stadium.
I totally agree. You nailed that one.
So again, David Carr, a guy 4 or 5 years ago was going to be MVP until he broke his leg. What are your thoughts?
I, like you, have the Chiefs winning the AFC West. And, I originally looked at their schedule and had them losing a few games that thought they may have won. I had them at 11-5. But after hearing you talk about them and the rest of the league, the rest of this conference, I'm going to put 2 more wins over to the win column and put the Chiefs at 13-3. And I don't know if you knew this, but I went to high school in Tyler, Texas, which is East Texas,
I did not.
between Dallas and Shreveport, Louisiana, just right up there. And Mahomes went to White House, which was a little teeny tiny country podunk town. Tyler was bigger than White House, and he played at White House. And it was really interesting. I went to Tyler last year. It was for one weekend during the playoffs, and everybody had Mahomes Kansas City shirts on. It was really cool. Like at the bank, at the car wash, at the church's fried chicken. Everybody was behind Mahomes, and it's really cool to see that he got 500 million contract
Oh
today,
yeah.
last night maybe.
I was just about to say, I was trying to think about this. Has there any bit, like in any sports aside from baseball or something, has there ever been an NFL QB that has got a 10-year deal?
I don't think so, and I know no one's ever got a 500 million, 50, basically an average of 50 million a year.
Yeah.
So that blows the roof off of everything.
Yeah.
And boy, we have a lot of quarterbacks coming up for contracts coming up soon. Dak Prescott for one,
Sure.
as you mentioned, Jackson down there in Houston,
hmm
and so wow, it really opens the door for the money to be flowing.
Oh
But I
yeah.
have the Chiefs winning that division, and I've got the Raiders going 8-8 and coming in second. Just boy, I think they're just going to be fired up with that new Las Vegas stadium. It will be a shame if we can't pack that thing to the gill with fans. And I just think a lot of visiting teams are, their fans are, I'm going to Vegas. I'm going to Vegas. I'm going to Vegas. In fact, the Raiders home tickets right now are some of the best selling tickets and the most expensive tickets to go to a game. I think the least expensive is the Chargers at the Raiders. It's around $300 to get in. So just to get in the door. Then I have the Broncos and the Chargers finishing last at 7-9. The Broncos, I'm just not sure they have what it takes to get over that 500 record this year.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like when I was choosing, I just like I think they're headed in the right direction. I just don't know if they have the QB yet. I do think their defense is going to be. They're going to give people a hard time, and Elway, you can give him a hard time for anything that he's done, but he did craft a Super Bowl win a couple of years ago. So
yes,
so I just think it kind of cost him in the long run because then he had to get rid of a lot of players, and
it's amazing how he has not been able to find a quarterback, really consistently.
Right? Exactly.
Being the great quarterback that he was, it just shows how hard it is to pull these things off.
Oh yeah, that's why I was saying like for next year, like Deshaun Watson could be a potential landing spot in Denver. I mean, that's the thing is we don't even like that they could push hard for that. But
right, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, but no, I agree with you about the Raiders Stadium. Like it's like a match made in heaven. You got your gambling, you got your football, you got your drinks. It's just like you couldn't ask for a better place for football to be. So
if the Raiders, as our friend Austin says, poop the bed, do you think Chucky could be on the chopping block? Do you want to talk about one last coach before we shut this down?
This is his second year, right? Isn't it now? This is second year in the NFL?
Second or third, at least, maybe.
Yeah, I think they'll give it a go because what I think they were trying to do is, and that's where I think the talk where like when initially before like the big talk was Tom Brady was going to go to the Raiders for a little bit. And I think that they were trying to basically hype it up so they could get as many star-studded people in there. And that's where the talk I think about getting rid of David Carr came from. It's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen with them this year. I think that I don't know if you follow the NHL, but the Vegas Knights did very well in their first year, and they packed a lot of that stadium, and they made it to the Stanley Cup the first year. I'm not saying that the Raiders are going to make it to the Super Bowl, but at the same time, I think that's a great venue, and I think it's going to benefit a lot of people.
Got it. Hey, well, before we close out the AFC side of our picks, I got a trivia question for this year, and I'm sure you'll get it, but I'm going to throw it at you anyway. The
All right.
NFL Pro Bowl.
Yes.
Where will it be played this year or next year after the season?
Ooh. I should know this.
Okay, we were just talking about it.
I know we just talked about it. Normally it's in Orlando.
The exciting stadium.
Is it going to be at the in Las Vegas? Oh, that makes total sense. Yeah. Again, vacation spot. That's again, it's perfect. People will go to that, now, and not that people don't, but they'll definitely pack that house. This was a great
for joining us here on our very first podcast. You can email James. All feedback.
Oh yeah, we'll definitely we'll definitely get all the contact info on our website once we get that going. And for episode 2, we got the NFC preview, so we're gonna be doing the same thing. If you got any questions or comments or anything, or if there's anything you want to add, don't hesitate to get in contact with us, because we love to hear about this. That's why we love talking about sports. And again, we're here to bring some normalcy and some crazy times.
All right. Good night.
Good night, guys.
I could have known.